All right, so welcome back, everybody, to another deep dive.
Always a pleasure.
Now, today, we are going to be looking at just a single sentence.
Okay.
But you know how we do things here?
Mm-hmm.
We like to kind of pick apart and see what we can find out with just a small amount of information.
Absolutely. We can always glean a lot from seemingly insignificant details.
Yeah. So are you ready to dive in?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
All right, so the sentence is, Saka back in training with the squad in Dubai after a setback from injury.
Okay.
So right away we see that Bukayo Saka is back in training.
Right.
And looks like he's with the squad in Dubai.
Interesting.
And that there was a setback from injury.
Yeah, I think that word setback is always a bit concerning when you're talking about recovery from injury.
Right. Yeah, it definitely throws a bit of a twist into it.
Mm.
So first of all, like, what can you tell us about Bukayo Saka? Like, for our listeners who maybe don't follow the Premier League that closely, like, why is he such a key player?
Yeah, so Bukayo Saka is a phenomenal talent. He plays for Arsenal. He's only 21 years old, I believe.
Wow.
But he's already established himself as one of the best wingers in the Premier League.
Okay.
And he's a crucial part of Arsenal's attack. He's got incredible pace.
Yeah. I mean, they're at the top of the table right now.
Great. Exactly. Yeah, they're having a fantastic season, and Saka's been one of their most important players.
Okay, so definitely a big deal that he's,
Huge deal.
that he's back in training.
Mm-hmm.
And then the fact that they're in Dubai, is that like a common thing?
Yeah, it's becoming increasingly common for teams to head out to places like Dubai for mid-season training camps,
Okay.
especially teams from Europe, during the winter months.
Yeah.
It's, much warmer, better
Yeah.
conditions for training.
Makes sense.
It could be a chance for them to, sort of bond as a team a little bit.
Right. Get away from everything.
Get away from the pressure.
Yeah. Yeah.
And especially for someone like Saka, who's coming back from the setback, maybe a change of scenery could be beneficial mentally as well.
Right, right. Get out of that kind of rehab mindset
Like,
and get back into
stand like part of the team again.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so we know he had a setback. So what kind of injury are we talking about here, and what are the implications of that?
Yeah, so the sentence doesn't give us specifics on the injury.
Right.
But, common injuries for footballers,
Mhm.
especially wingers like Saka, are things like hamstring injuries,
Okay.
groin strains, those kinds of things.
Right.
And those can be quite tricky, they
Yeah.
often linger.
Yeah, you hear about those all the time, right?
Yeah, and a setback could mean, he's re-injured it, or it's just not healing as quickly as they hoped,
Okay.
and that could set him back weeks, potentially.
Wow. Okay, so this isn't just like a minor thing.
Yeah, no.
This could have a big impact on, their season.
Absolutely. As we said, Saka is such a key player for them.
Right.
And, their attack relies heavily on his creativity and his ability to, take on defenders.
Mm-hmm.
So not having him available is a major blow.
Yeah, and I guess the other thing to think about is like the mental side of things, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Like for Saka himself,
Yeah.
coming back from an injury and then having this setback, it's got to be tough.
Yeah. You've gone through all that hard work to get back to fitness,
Mm-hmm.
and then you have this setback. It can be really disheartening.
Right, and then like you said, he's a young player.
Mm-hmm.
There could be that fear of re-injury.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
You might start to hesitate a little bit in tackles or when you're sprinting,
Mm-hmm.
and that can affect your performance.
Yeah, I mean, even if you're physically,
Yeah.
100%.
Right.
If you're not mentally there, then
You're not going to be the same.
right.
Right.
Okay, so there's a lot to unpack here.
But definitely.
Even in this one little sentence,
Mm-hmm.
we've got the positive, he's back in training,
Mm-hmm.
he's with the squad, but then there's this setback, and who knows how long that's going to keep him out.
Exactly. And it raises all sorts of questions, like how will Arsenal cope without him?
Right.
Will they change their tactics?
Yeah.
How will this affect their title challenge? All these things are up in the air now.
Right, right. And then, of course, like what's going on in Saka's mind.
Yeah.
Is he staying positive? Is he getting the support he needs? Like all of that is kind of hidden beneath the surface of this one sentence.
Absolutely. It's a perfect example of how even a small piece of information can reveal a whole lot more.
Yeah, and I think it just goes to show, how much goes on behind the scenes in professional sports.
Mm-hmm.
We see the games on TV.
Right.
but there's so much that we don't see.
Absolutely.
The hard work, the setbacks, the mental battles.
Yeah,
It's really fascinating.
it is.
So I guess to kind of wrap things up here, I would just leave our listeners with this thought. Next time you see a news update about an athlete's injury or even just like a little blurb about a training camp,
Mm-hmm.
take a moment to think about everything that might be going on behind the scenes.
Yeah.
The pressure, the dedication, the mental fortitude that these athletes have to have.
That's incredible.
It really is, and it's something that we should all appreciate.
I agree.
All right, well, that was a great deep dive.
Yeah, I enjoyed that.
Me too.
Yep.
I'm really curious to see how this all plays out for Saka and for Arsenal.
Me too. It'll be interesting to follow their progress.
All right, well, until next time, everybody, happy deep diving.
Take care.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.